Hey there, Alex Kidman here, and today I'm taking a look at the Belkin Soundform Bolt True Wireless headphones. And the important detail to know about these is that they are affordable. Here in Australia, a pair will set you back just shy of $50, which is on the cheaper side for true wireless buds. And certainly not the cheapest I've ever tested. I have tested some real bargain basement monstrosities. These aren't those though, and you'd kind of expect that because Belkin's at least an established brand. I mean, probably more in your head, more about cables and chargers and whatnot than headphones, but they're still a known brand name and you should probably expect a little more out of them than a cheap no-name brand that you might get from AliExpress or Wish or any other online retailer. But do you? Well, I've been putting these through their paces, and look, they're pretty much exactly what you'd expect from a budget pair of headphones, for better or worse. Let's get into what's good and what's not so good. So, in design terms, look, most cheap buds don't do a heck of a lot to stand out for design, and that's certainly true for the Soundform Bolts. I mean, simple little egg-shaped case, the buds themselves are likewise, if I can turn it around the right way, the buds themselves are likewise simple little buds. They're fairly ordinary devices, nothing particularly exciting there. In the box, you do get a choice of tips, and you do also get a simple USB-C charging cable. No charger, of course, although I'm sure Belkin would be very happy to sell you one of theirs, but any USB-C charger will do. Where they do stand out is in two real areas of design. Firstly, there's color choice. So for most of these cheap buds, it's basically, look, you can have one color and typically it's black. But for the Soundform Bolts, you can get them in black, indeed, white, teal, or lavender. And it's the lavender set that Belkin sent me for review. It's a nice enough purple, if you like purple as a color. Kind of lilac-y purple, I suppose. I like having the choice. Not everyone is going to want a particularly colourful set of buds. Some people will just like black. Cool, go buy the black ones. It all works. Having the choice is different enough though, and I like the fact that that at least exists. The other feature that I do like is they are properly rated for a level of water resistance. Now, when I say a level of water resistance, don't go swimming with them, folks. These are only IPX4, and if you're not up with your IP ratings, what that basically means is they're sweat resistant. If you go running with them, they should survive. If they get very light rain on them, they should be okay. If you drop them in the bath, they're probably dead. Now, when I was setting up the Belkin Soundform Bolt True Wireless headphones, I actually made it harder on myself than it needed to be. And that's because the instructions actually use pictograms that don't entirely make it clear whether or not there's an app involved. So I went looking, and lo and behold, I found a couple. Depends on the platform that you're on. So if you're an iOS user, there's actually two of them, Soundform and Belkin Soundform. Whereas if you're an Android user, there's just Soundform. Now, take a guess which of those apps the Soundform Bolt headphones need. If you guessed any of them, you were wrong, because it doesn't use any app. There's no app support for these headphones, and I wasted a bit of time trying to get it to pair that way, but this is actually just your classic standard Bluetooth pairing play through the Bluetooth pairing menu of your device of choice, and that's all. Now, I did manage to successfully pair them to a range of Bluetooth devices. Bluetooth's just a standard, so there's really no particular surprise there. One little catch here, one thing I don't like so much is that they use that method where you have to touch both buds for a period of seconds to get them into pairing mode. I would have so much preferred if this had an external button on the case. That's so much easier to deal with if you do have to switch them around, because there's no multi-pairing. You are just talking about single device to device. So when you want to pair them with a new device, it's typically best to remove the pairing on the old one. Otherwise, they might bounce around all over the place and you get all kinds of crazy audio in your ears. So with no app to speak of, you're stuck with the default audio output from the Belkin Soundform Bolt wireless headphones. And look, it's pretty average, which is, I guess, what you should expect for $50, but it is on the treble side. Like, there's just not a lot of bass in these headphones by default. You might be able to tweak that a little bit if the music app that you're using has an equalizer in it, but the default is certainly not terribly heavy. You're not going to get right up there in those terms. Now, Belkin sells the entire Soundform range here in Australia as being eminently kid-suitable, eminently youth-suitable. And I could see some parents going, well, we don't necessarily want that whole kind of aunts thing happening in our kids' ears as they develop. And there's maybe some merit in that, although I should note these don't have any kind of sound limiting, no volume limiting, which some kid-centric headphones do. Then that's not present here. But overall, look, the best way I can liken the effect of the audio of these is that it's very AM radio. It's very light. There's not a lot of presence to music or podcasts or video games or things like that. It all works, it all functions, but it's very basic, very, very rudimentary. What about the inbuilt microphones for if you're taking calls? Well, I've run a test on that as well.
Recording audio quality is, well, it's kind of what you could expect. And you're listening to me through the Soundform Bolt microphones in a quiet environment. Certainly people are going to pick that you're on headphones, that's for sure. It'll probably come through okay, but in a noisy environment, it's going to struggle a bit, and it does not sound great.
Bluetooth range was decent, but again, not exactly best in class. Testing around my home, if I moved from room to room, I could fairly quickly get them to drop out. Now, I don't know how important that really is for a lot of people these days, but if you are in a situation where you need true wireless headphones and you know that you're going to be a fair distance from the device that your audio is coming from, these might not be your best bet. Same room, probably not an issue. Different rooms or a lot of space, maybe a big problem. Given the price point, of course, you're not talking about any kind of active noise cancelling, just isolation. You can certainly hear a fair bit of outside sound, but equally, you still do have things sticking in your ears, so you get a little bit of blocked sound as well. There's no pass-through or anything like that either. What about for exercise? Because this is always a big thing for people who buy these kinds of buds. They don't want them dropping out of their ears while they're out and about running, but they also want to make sure that they're comfortable. So on the comfort side, actually, they scored really, really well. These are very nice, lightweight, simple, comfortable buds. And I'm the type of person who often finds longer-term wearing of some buds leaves my ears really irritated. These didn't do that, which I really rather like. I also, of course, took them for a run.
Well, I've just done a 5K and they're staying okay. So at least that test they passed. Couldn't really go swimming in them though because they're only IPX4. But running, yeah, that one works.
The Soundform Bolt headphones use touch controls. Now, I'm notably not a big fan of that approach. These work about as well as anyone else's, but I often found I just diverted to using my phone, especially because they're not very advanced touch controls to begin with. Again, I suppose that's in line with paying $50 for them. Belkin rates the Soundform Bolt True Wireless headphones as being good for up to 28 hours of battery life, but before you get too excited, that's not 28 hours in one run. That would be amazing, especially for $50. No, it's actually only 9 hours and then a couple of recharges. Now, 9 hours at this price is actually pretty good. It doesn't quite hit that. I've tended more towards the kind of 7-8 hour range. And look, that's up there and actually pretty good again at this price. Little disappointing not to 100% see it cover its range, but then very few wireless headphones do that anyway. They are at least USB-C charging, which I prefer. Some cheaper headphones in this space still use micro USB and micro USB. Do not like it. Not a big fan. So USB-C is quite welcome. But as previously noted, there's no charger in the case. You'll need to supply the electrons yourself. So should you buy the Belkin Soundform Bolt True Wireless headphones? Well, look, they're built to a price point and it shows. The audio representation is only average, and that's probably the biggest flaw they've got. The battery life, though, is really good. The color choices are nice, and I think this is one of those prospects where, look, you're getting what you pay for. You can spend a bit more and get much, much nicer headphones, but as a basic set, these will get the job done most of the time, and they're worth their money, but not a lot more. Anyway, that's my take on the Belkin Soundform Bolt True Wireless headphones. What do you think? What do you want to know? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching all the way through to the end, and don't forget to hit like and hit subscribe.